Let me read out of Psalms what King David said. Psalm 69, verse 7 reads this way. For I endure insults for your sake. Humiliation is written all over my face. Even my own brothers pretend they don't know me. They treat me like a stranger. Passion for your house has consumed me, and the insults of those who insult you have fallen on me. When I weep and fast, they scoff at me. When I dress in burlap to show sorrow, they make fun of me. I am the favorite topic of the town gossip, and all the drunks sing about me. When God leads you to this place, and you fight so hard, are you laughing? You good? It's your husband. But when He leads you to this place, and I want you to write this down if you've got a pen, because this is deep, deep theology. Don't get stuck in the bucket. Write it down. Put it in your memory. Don't get stuck in the bucket. Anybody want to know what that means? Or can we just leave it? Lexi's Googling it right now. See if she can find it.
No, I'm really not.
Okay. Don't get stuck in the bucket. Here's what stuck in the bucket means. Anybody ever gone to the beach and picked up sand crabs?
Yeah.
Yeah? Put them in a bucket? You know, with sand crabs, if you catch a bunch of them, with sand crabs, you put them in a bucket, you don't have to put a lid on top. Did you know that? Yeah, I thought so too. Now, I haven't actually done this. This is just a story I've heard, so go with me like pretend it's true. Because I think it is. Yeah, she knows. Put sand crabs in a bucket. You don't have to put a lid on it. When one decides he wants to get out of the bucket and starts trying to make his way up the side, you know what happens? The other crabs grab him and pull him back down.
Really? Wow.
That's the story I heard. Why do crabs do this? Nobody knows. Why? Because crabs don't talk. It's just part of their makeup. I'm trying to put a little humor, keep you captivated just a little bit. All right? But the same thing will happen to you when you decide that you don't want to be stuck in the bucket of normalcy anymore.
Yes.
There's going to be people around you that are going to say, hey, come back here. There's comfort in the crowds. That's too hard. We want you with us. And then you know what? We all go right back in the bucket.
Yep.
We go right back in the bucket. There is constant pressure to conform to the norm. And it happens with new believers. It happens with old believers. With new believers, y'all get scared. Because you're thinking, whoa, big change. Friends are poking fun, making fun of me. I'm just going to go jump back over here. You old believers, y'all get lazy.
Yeah.
Y'all get lazy.
Yeah.
And it just ain't worth the fight to try to climb up out of the bucket. It's just so much easier to let that come grab you and pull you back in. Two different types of pressure that you will face, we will face, you will face individually, you will face in your relationships, we will face as a church, we are facing as a church. Two different types. Number one is inward pressure. Anybody a people pleaser? Anybody?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody a people pleaser, Taylor? No, you don't know anybody like that? Yeah. Inward pressure, the need to please, you are subject to pressure.
Yes.
Because you want to please
Yeah.
people. Proverbs 29:25 says this, fearing people is a snare, or some scriptures say a dangerous trap. But trusting the Lord means safety. Let me read out of the Message again, because I kind of like this too. Proverbs 29:25. The fear of human opinion disables. The fear of human opinion disables. Trusting in God protects you from that. Now, the word snare, Greek, mokesh. M-O-Q-E-S-H. Mokesh. It means a trap, a snare, or a hook put into an animal's nose. Okay? Now go with me on this one. Ever seen a big bull? Got the big ring in his nose. Easy as pie to lead that big nose around, big bull around, because all you got to do is pull on that nose ring.
Right.
Okay? Anybody got a nose ring here? Well, it was good because y'all are going to be a word picture this morning. So instead, we'll just pretend. Now, God may be leading you to a few things. Let's say that God is leading you to stop having sex before marriage. Everybody do this. Come on, do it. Do it. You got to play along. Okay, just do this. Just do this. Okay? I don't want to see anybody going under the table when we're done with it. Okay? You say, I'm going to stop having sex before marriage. I'm in a relationship. We've been doing this. But here's the snares of people. They're going to be like, what? We're already doing it.
Yeah.
So what's the point? Why stop now? So this is what we do. And they pull, they pull, and they pull. Okay?
Right.
It's a snare. What about God is leading you to dress more modestly?
Yep.
There's the snare. Well, but it's the fashion. It's the way clothes are. I'm just showing off God's handiwork. Does anybody really care if I come to church dressed half naked? It doesn't matter. Right? But here's what to do. And that's what happens is public opinion snares you.
Yeah. That's good.
Here's a big one. What about studying God's Word together? Maybe God's leading you as a couple to study God's Word together, or lead some kind of a study outside of church. Because Lord knows we're okay with that. Here's the snare. Well, why do you want to do that? You go to church on Sundays.
Right.
Let Him do it. Why do I have to do it? That's going to interrupt my basketball league. That's going to interrupt my game night. That's going to take time away from this. What about talking dirty with your mouth? What about God leading you to remove those four-letter words out of your vocabulary? Here's the snare. Well, yeah, but I'm a construction worker, and that's just kind of the language. So, God knows my heart. It's just words, right? Here's the snare. And the snare is a lie. Fear of man will prove to be a snare. It will disable you. These are all things that other people will say are weird, but trusting in the Lord means safety. How about if I were to say that so many of us are not doing what God has called us to do for fear of what others may think? Well, I don't really want to stop cussing because they're going to think I'm some religious freak. Well, I don't really want to tell my boyfriend or my girlfriend, hey, we're going to close, the bedroom is off. We're going to stop doing this because we're already doing it and it doesn't matter anymore, so this. Okay? Becoming obsessed about what others think about you is the quickest way to forget what God thinks about you. And this is where most of us live, is right here. Because we are so obsessed about what everybody else thinks that we forget about what He thinks. We would rather be accepted than be exceptional. We would rather be one of the guys or one of the girls instead of being one of God's. We would rather be loved by men than be loved by the King. But it's better to be weird than be normal. Fearing people is a snare, but trusting the Lord means safety. And if you don't believe that this works, next time you see somebody with a nose ring, go up and pull it and see if they follow you. Okay? Here's the second one. Outward criticism. John chapter 15. Outward criticism. John chapter 15. 18 through 20 reads this way. If the world hates you, remember that it hated me first. This is Jesus talking. The world would love you as one of its own if you belonged to it. But you are no longer part of this world. I chose you to come out of the world, so it hates you. Do you remember what I told you? A slave is not greater than the master. Since they persecuted me, naturally they will persecute you. And if they had listened to me, they would listen to you. They will do all this to you because of me, for they have rejected the one who sent me. So, hey, let me give you this word of encouragement. If you get criticized for being weird, don't worry.
Yeah.
Only worry when you don't.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That's so true.
It is true.
When you're not doing
Because chances are, if you don't get criticized, you're normal. And we listened to what normal is. Matthew 5, 10 through 12 reads this way. God blesses those who are persecuted for doing right, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. God blesses you when people mock you and persecute you and lie about you and say all sorts of evil things against you because you are my followers. Be happy about it. Be very glad, for a great reward awaits you in heaven. And remember, the ancient prophets were persecuted in the same way. Paul tells us, for we speak as messengers approved by God to be entrusted with the good news. Our purpose is to please God, not people. He alone examines the motives of your heart. Being obsessed with what others think about you is the quickest way to forget what He thinks about you. Now, I want to share a story real quick. I'm about done, but let me share this. Wednesday afternoon, about 2 o'clock, I was at the office. A friend of mine came in, and I haven't seen him for a couple of months, and he's a builder, and we were talking back and forth, and he needed some grass seed, like 15, 50-pound bags of grass seed. And, you know, me being the servant that I am, I said, hey, I'll get it loaded in your truck, and he said, fine. So we're jacking back and forth and talking around. And, you know, this guy's always smiling, always in a good mood, but always going 110. Always. Always thinking about the next thing. So we're talking back and forth, and he's getting ready to check out, and I had introduced him to my boss, and I had asked him, I said, hey, I heard you had a little problem with your ticker not too long ago. He goes, yeah, and I said, did you get a stent put in? And he goes, I got 3. I got 3 stents put in. I said, dude's 46, okay? Wow. 2 years younger than I. 46 years old. And I said, so how's that? And he goes, well, I'm going to tell you. He goes, I'm fit. He goes, I'm fit. I eat right. Didn't see this coming. But when your heart messes with you, it's scary. And I said, well, then you better do what you're told. And he goes, yeah, ha, ha, ha. Tries on a belt. And, you know, we talked 15 minutes. I load his truck and out the door he goes. And like I said, I introduced him to my boss. And told him about the heart problems and whatever. The next morning, Dusty texted me, and he said, do you know Sean Walters?
Oh my God.
And in that moment, I knew exactly what he was telling me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And let me just tell you this. That freaked me out all day long. Dusty and I had a conversation back and forth and whatever, but it literally chilled me to the bone all day long because I just talked to him.
Right?
It was fine. I told Chris, I said, should I have said anything different?
Right.
He was a Christian. So I know that he went to heaven. But he had a wife and he had 2 girls. So just like that. Gone. And so here's what I struggled with. He went 110 in his job. But I wondered if he went 110 in his faith.